Jack Eichel in a place where he wouldn't have to wear the C.
Where would he fit in
wouldn't
good?
have to be the face of the franchise.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Jared Spurgeon wears the C, and Kirill Kaprizov is going to be the face of our franchise.
He'd be a role player here, but he'd have to swallow that before coming here. First of all, I'd want to know that he's healthy. And again, this is all hypothetical, so let's just, of course it's hypothetical. But
let's just pretend it's
hypothetically, let's say the Wild were interested in bringing Jack Eichel to Minnesota and putting on the logo and the cool retro jersey and all that. First of all, I'd want to know that he's healthy. Second of all, I'd want to know that between the ears he's healthy because he's got to know that he's going to be a role player. He's not going to be the captain. He's not going to be the guy. You got Kaprizov, you got Spurgeon, you got some other good. So you're going to fill a role here, and as long as you can listen to Bill Guerin, you can listen to Dean Evison, and you can deal with the hierarchy in the Wild locker room, come on in. Love to have you. But you got to swallow that before you leave the city of Buffalo.
Joining us now via the Connecticut Water Systems Hotline, Brandon Mileski, Tenna B, producer, the program. What's going on, Tenna?
Yeah, I was just thinking about some of the great Stanley Cup winning teams like Chicago. They had Patrick Kane as a role player, and
busy day today.
Pittsburgh had Evgeny Malkin as a role player, and that's what I kind of like about this Colorado team is they've got a good player like Cale Makar as a role player on that team.
I always love that.
I don't mean a role player as in what he's going to have to do on the ice. I meant as a role player inside that locker room. Maybe I should have specified that better. But do you want Jack Eichel to be a vocal leader inside your locker room?
If you are going to pay a guy $10 million a year and trade the amount of assets you're going to trade for him, he ain't a role player. He's it doesn't have to mean he's the guy, but he's a co-star.
No, I get that, but in the locker room, I want him to shut his mouth and do his job. I don't want him to say two things. Go on the ice and score me 40 goals, feed the puck over to Kirill Kaprizov and set him up 40 times, but get in that locker room and shut your mouth. I don't want to hear you tell me anything about how to run this team. I don't want to have any of your sourness inside these four walls.
You have no idea what kind of player he is in the locker room. You have no idea.
I have a pretty good idea. I think I do have a pretty good idea. What do you think? You think he's a good guy? You think he's a solid stand-up individual?
Do I think there's some risk with him? Yes. Do I think there's a high reward? Yes.
100%. I agree with that too.
That's the risk you might have to take to get a top-line center, but you don't know his personality. You don't know.
I think I have a pretty good idea.
If sometimes you can go to a different locker room and go to a different culture. You use Taylor Hall as your example in the exact same segment. About you go to a different culture, different locker room, that can change. All of a sudden, you have a winning feeling, winning attitude. Kevin Fiala wasn't the most mature player 2 years ago, and I feel like he's progressed. Would you call Kevin Fiala a role player?
I would not call him a role player. I'd call him a central part of your top six.
Exactly. And guess what?
But I also think he has a voice inside this locker room.
If you want to get Eichel, you got to give up Fiala plus way more. So Jack Eichel would not come here to be a role player. You and I have much different definition of what a role player. It's possible to have more than one star on a team.
I don't have a problem with it being a star on the team. I want him to shut his mouth when he's in the locker room. That's what I'm talking about as far as being a leader. Right. I want him to be a leader on the ice. I want him to be the guy that's stapled to the hip of Kirill Kaprizov. But inside the locker room, I want him to shut his filthy mouth.
I want you to
I want him to shut his filthy mouth.